Right, it's recording now. I just thought, I don't know if you watch any other podcasts, but I don't want to like do an official proper introduction.
No.
So it's started now. This is it. So you've come all the way from Liverpool to...
Well, yeah, from the Wirral, technically.
Yeah.
Right.
Just the other side of Liverpool.
North Wirral. Yeah.
Right. Is that not Liverpool, man?
No, it's not.
not technically.
Is that
classed as
offensive?
Liverpool.
I wouldn't say it. It's probably more offensive to me than it is to him because of our football affiliations. But
I mean, what do you mean?
why would
Liverpool fan? Yeah, but why would it be offensive to me it not being a part of Liverpool? Is that what you mean?
No, it wouldn't be offensive to you. Is what I'm saying.
That makes
I'm
sense.
saying it'd be more
Like-
offensive to me than it is to you.
Yeah, all right. Well, yeah.
We're separated by the River Mersey.
Right,
But
okay.
But if you go down to the end of my house and look over the River Mersey, the Liver buildings are literally facing me.
Right.
That's how close it is.
When
Right.
I grew up, I could look over the Mersey out of my bedroom window. as
What's
well.
quite funny about it is I probably live closer to Liverpool city centre than most like people who live in Liverpool. who
Right,
we know,
okay.
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very close,
Right.
but it's separated by the River Mersey.
Right. So it's not actually Liverpool then,
No,
but you can see it
yeah,
in all its glory.
it's very
Yeah.
close. Yeah,
Right.
so you've got on the Wirral Peninsula, you've got Wales one side,
Yeah.
with the River Dee and that, and then you've got the Mersey and Liverpool on the other side. And we're like in the middle.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm from North Wales originally.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I'm from Colwyn Bay.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
You glad you got out?
it's a yeah. I'm glad, yeah. Yeah, there's more. People have got more kids than teeth there. You know what I mean? It's one of them. Yeah, so I'm glad I got out. Yeah, it's yeah.
Did you know Black Flag once played them Cold?
Yeah, I've read the book. Yeah, Get in the Van. Yeah,
It's crazy that, isn't
Yeah.
it? They played there. It's amazing.
it's not there anymore. That pier.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
knocked it down. There was all sorts going on.
Yeah.
I think Ian Mackay was there as well.
Oh,
They
really?
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think like the roadies did a gig before Black Flag came on.
It's crazy, isn't
Yeah.
it, knowing that like Black Flag played in Colwyn Bay?
Insane.
You ever been to Colwyn Bay?
Yeah, loads of times.
Yeah, exactly. So Black Flag in Colwyn Bay.
I know. It's
Mad.
Yeah, the Damned had played there as well, and
Yeah.
it had loads of bands like that. But yeah, it's mad to read about it and get in the van.
Yeah.
Do you know Neil Crudd? He does the Link to Wales website.
Yeah.
He was a cameo in one of your videos.
Yeah,
you know the
yeah.
jail cell recipes. He was walking past.
Yeah.
He posted it, but yeah, I think he was throwing bullets at them or something, and they stopped halfway through. Someone had like a bullet belt on.
Black Flag.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just flicking them.
Henry's always
Henry.
talking about people throwing stuff at them in them book.
Yeah.
So just part of the cause for them back then, wasn't it? So.
Yeah. Your channel's doing really well. You've just hit 1,000 subs. Must be pretty happy with that.
Quite high above it now.
1,065 now.
Yeah.
I think,
Right.
like that,
Yeah.
Considering when we started, we didn't expect to get more than 20.
I know.
Yeah.
It's doing all right.
Once we reached 100, we were just like,
Buzzing, yeah.
it's just kind of gone.
I think it's just persistence, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Yeah,
think
just
that's
keep
it,
posting.
Yeah, consistency.
We've
and
not missed
persistence.
many weeks without posting an episode.
Yeah.
I think what it is I think, when you start anything, how many times as a youngster or whatever have you tried to start something, you've had an idea, but you've given up after maybe 3 weeks?
Yeah.
But I think with us, we just kind of like we're a bit of a dog with a bone.
Yeah,
with it,
we've ground it out. And
Yeah. I think
we've been quite disciplined. Said, right, every week, even if you only don't get a single subscriber for a month, it's like fuck it, just keep keep doing it.
it's all right. Swear all you like.
Just keep doing it, and that's how and I think that's been the key, and it's just persistence.
And I think social media, I think we've been pretty consistent up there as well.
Yeah,
That has helped draw more people in.
Yeah.
It's amazing, really. Like the people we have made connections with.
It's like a community in itself now, isn't it?
Across the world. Like we've got, good friend Sybil in Florida and America, and obviously Ron from Stalag. She put us in touch with him.
Yeah.
And we had comments from people from Greece, Japan. It's amazing. Like
You get people sending you stuff as well, don't you?
A few records sent to us and t-shirt flyers and demos, all that. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I've been there since day one. I watched your first video. That was pretty cool. I'm not just saying that because you're here, but
I said to Danny on the way, I was like, he comments a lot on a lot of our stuff.
Geoff controls all the social media stuff, so I don't really know as much about who's messaging or who's thinking than he does. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I do look at all the comments on our videos though, but I don't.
Yeah. What made you start the channel?
So originally what happened was I was begging him to start a band.
Right.
Because I wanted to do, basically what it was me and Geoff knew each other as kids. We were in a band together, and then, I don't know why, but we kind of lost contact for about 20 years, didn't we?
It kind of, so we lost contact. That was more, I think, on my side, because once our band split up and you kind of had another band rolling that was doing well.
Yeah.
And I gone to college and I started getting into like other styles of music and kind of moving in a different that. And the hardcore scene just didn't feel the same to me in Liverpool at the time. And I just kind of disassociated myself a bit from it and just stopped going to shows. And I think after that, we just kind of lost a bit of contact, didn't we?
Yeah, and I went through like a period from around 2014 to probably around 2018 where I turned into like a bit of a soul boy. I got into like Northern Soul and like Motown and all that stuff quite heavily.
Yeah.
And I kind of like went through, I think everyone does if you're into punk music a long time. I think everyone kind of goes through that period where they step out.
Yeah.
You step out, and it's whether you step your whole body out and never go back. You know what I mean? But I always kept the foot in, but I stepped out. But I was like, it got to a point where I was like, I've still got that aggression, I've still got that anger, I've still got that passion.
Right.
So I always kept my eye on it, but from a distance.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then one day, I work in a pet shop. I hadn't seen him for years. One day, he walked in an I Hate God shirt. And where I work and where I live, you don't see people in cool shirts very often.
Right.
And I didn't recognise him at first. And he walked in and I was like, who the hell is that in that I Hate God? Whenever anyone comes in my shop in a cool shirt, I make sure I mention it. I'm going to say something, do you know what I mean? And he came over and I was like, and it was actually him. He went, all right, Danny. And it was, and we got speaking to me for about 10 minutes. Luckily, the shop was dead.
Right.
And we exchanged numbers again. And then I went round to yours, didn't I? You invited me round to yours.
And then we started going to a few gigs.
And that. And I still had itchy feet to start a band again.
Right.
And I was like, come on, Geoff, let's do it. And he had no interest whatsoever.
I have no energy for that
anymore. He had no interest. And I can understand because you got being in a band, you've got to rely on 4 or 5 other people.
Yeah, that's what I said to you. You've got to rely on other people. I did it for years. I gave it up when I was about 30.
I can completely understand.
I'm working full time, and you've got a house to run, and it just doesn't have the time to do it.
Yeah.
And he didn't want to do it, and then he said to me, "But I'm like, when it comes to punk music or any kind of music I'm into, I'm like an excitable kid."
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I can tell you, it comes across.
And I'll do anything that will let me express myself. Do you know what I mean? Where music is concerned. And he said to me, well, one thing I would be interested in doing is maybe a podcast. And I was like, let's do it.
And I'd like to say as well, because she will listen to this from my partner, for many years, because much like you just said, very enthusiastic and excitable about music, all kinds of music, to be fair. And she always used to say to me, you need to do something online. You need to put yourself out there and just tell your stuff, get your knowledge out. You've got a lot of knowledge. And I never had the bottle, but because he's pretty like, right, let's do it. There's no waiting. We say we're doing it. We're doing it. Wasn't it? That's kind of your thing. Like,
I've got a pretty...
So I think...
unrelenting work ethic.
Like when I first said it to him, pushing me to be like, right, well, let's not dilly-dally. Let's get it done. And I ordered a little podcast kit, which was shit, didn't work. But that was the start of it, wasn't it? And we
still only do it on a broke phone, like similar to what you're doing here. A broke phone. You've probably got better equipment here than what we've got.
Right.
I've got a little mic. A little mic that's pretty good, and a ring light and a phone, and that's...
I don't. Sorry to interrupt. I don't think it really matters what you've got as long as the content's good.
Exactly.
I mean, what I like about your channel is you seem like really encyclopedic about what you know. I think I know about music. I watch YouTube. I'm like, I don't know anything.
But then I do the same, and I'm sure you do. There'll be people I'll watch, and I'll be like, I thought I knew a lot.
But you know what the trick is there? And I don't know if people probably know, we only talk about what we know about.
And if we don't, we say, don't we? Don't know a lot about that, really.
Because we have had people message and say, do a video on this. And
right.
We say, I don't know about that.
Yeah, like to say like a pocket scene in like a country.
Yeah.
I could probably scrape 3 bands that have come from that continent. You know what I mean?
But I think that's been the trick, and just talk about what you know about.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll ever run out of? Because you initially started as a top 5 kind of.
Yeah.
And that's still kind of the focus.
It's the spine of it. Yeah.
And that came from, we're both big fans of the film High Fidelity. I don't know if you've seen it. And he does the top 5s. That kind of idea spanned from that, didn't it? When we had the same conversation when we started the podcast. We were in your car on the way to a gig, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
My idea, I don't know about with Geoff, we both had the idea about High Fidelity, but my idea personally, or my vision I had in my head, was High Fidelity meets Talk Sport. So I don't know if you ever listen to a lot of Talk Sport.
Yeah.
But like I listen to like the Sports Bar with Jason Cundy and Jamie O'Hara.
Yeah, they're hilarious, aren't they? Those
and I kind of like go for that dynamic with me and him a little bit. I actually kind of sometimes I try and get him to argue with me. But it's hard sometimes with him because he's a bit like, And I'm like, oh, whereas I think I'm kind of like trying to pour a bit of petrol on it to get him to go with me. But I'm just not trying to insult him. I'm just wanting to get, we'll have that kind of like joke argument. But that's in my mind. That's what it. I'm always like sometimes looking for a way to wind him up to get him to react a bit more.
Right. Even off camera, he tries to say. He'll just say things to me that he knows. I'll be a bit like, what?
Yeah.
What was I going to ask you then? You ever going to run out of top fives, do you think?
That's a good question, because the amount of times we've said to each other, Geoff, we're running out of it.
Yeah.
There's always something.
Yeah,
there's always something, do you know what I mean? Like, even if it's, I don't know, top 5 dogs that are owned by punks, you know what I mean? There'll always be something.
I'd watch that.
I'd watch the hell out of
it. Yeah.
There'll always be something. And even if we run out of that, there's other... We've sat down and we've said, well, what could we do after the top? There's things we can do.
I think
keep it alive.
Yeah, definitely. I like what you're doing.
We've got a few ideas, and now we're trying to like break it up, aren't we, with different styles of it. So we'll do a few top 5s and then do a road trip or a gig or an interview just to kind of keep it interesting. And also it just branches us out a little bit. The more we try something different, it gives us another avenue to explore in the future then, to not run out of ideas.
Yeah.
There's like the answer to your question, I think there's still life in it. Yeah,
there's
still quite a bit of life in it.
Yeah,
definitely.
Of course, I mean, think about all the amazing bands out there. You could do an episode on their discography, just that band. On their discography,
or pick like a classic album and just track by track that album and talk about each song on it and things. There's loads.
Yeah.
It's good that you're evolving it.
Yeah. You can't stay stagnant, can you? You've got to.
My mind's always going in work. I'm one of these people.
He messages me all the time, like, "Oh, I've got this idea. I was trying this."
When I'm in work, I work hard in work, but my mind is never there. It's like I'm thinking of the podcast. I'm thinking of band stuff. I'm constantly trying to think of ideas, and I'm nicking stuff off other sources all the time.
Yeah,
I'll see something on a program. I go, we could use that. You know what I mean, and stuff like that.
Do you put on gigs as well?
We've done one.
We did the Stalag 13.
Which was the Stalag 13.
That came because obviously we interviewed Ron.
Yeah.
And he told us where he was playing, and I tried to get tickets, and it already looked dodgy, this place, and seen some comments, and I told him that. And he was like, okay, well, anyway, it says it's going ahead. And then he messaged us through Instagram and said, listen, the gigs fell through. Can you hook us up with someone, Northern, Liverpool, Manchester way? So I messaged him and I was like, right, do you think we should message Mikey at Guac and Roll and blah, blah, blah. And he put it on and he said to us, well, you can sort of co-promote this with us. It'd be a co-thingy.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it.
It was amazing.
It was the gig was amazing. Yeah. I mean, putting on a gig, but I don't know if I'd like all that stress all the time.
You know what? I reckon I could do it. I reckon I'd be all right. I think I'm more... We've spoke about this. I think I'd be more up for it than you would to do that side.
Yeah.
I don't like dealing with people and going up to people and being like, you're on in 10 minutes, mate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Tapping the watch at them like,
Green Day, the 1 minute. Yeah.
But the idea of organising a gig appeals to me a bit.
Yeah, it's hard work, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know Dave Cox? He used to put on the Dirty Weekend in North Wales in Rhyl.
No.
I know the Dirty Weekend.
Yeah. I think it was Neville Staple. I might have to bleep his name if it isn't him. I'll check with Dave. But he was refusing to go on until he bought him a load of multi-bag of crisps. It was like 36 pack of crisps. Dave was like, are you going on then? He's like, where are my crisps? He's like,
you know what? It was only crisps.
It could have been,
It would have been a lot worse.
Yeah, he wasn't snorting anything or anything. Or maybe it was, I don't know. But yeah. So he had to run to the shop and get 36 massive bags of crisps for Neville Staple, Anyway, we'll move on to the main, the real reason you're here. Yeah. So I've just started a podcast called Mars Records where I'll read out the intro. We'll do it properly. Welcome to Mars Records, the podcast where guests face the ultimate interstellar challenge, select 6 albums, 2 DVDs and 2 books to accompany them on a solo voyage, or you're both going, to Mars to see if emigration to a new planet can save humanity. They'll never listen to or watch anything else again, so they must pick wisely. Along the way, they'll decide on a food to clone for every meal, nominate a president of Mars, fly a band over from Earth for a private gig, accidentally leave someone behind on Earth and establish Mars' first law and ethos. So how much trouble have you had with this? When I did it, it was a bloody nightmare. I was taking forever.
More trouble than I have. I think I've been all right.
I've changed my picks on especially the albums numerous times before I set. I had 2 or 3 that were dead set. Yeah, they're coming. And 3, I fluctuated between a few. And I said, like, last night, I was like, I feel like I'm actually going to Mars, and I'm like stressing so much about leaving these records that I can't listen to again. I just need to, like, relax a bit and have a bit more fun with it.
Yeah, don't take it too serious. We're not actually going, by the way. Just in case you thought.
That notion was more. I was more comfortable with that notion. I think he was a bit more like, Danny, we're going to Mars, man. We're not. We're all right. We are going to be able to listen to these albums again. Don't worry.
Yeah. Did any albums appear like from left field? We're like, bloody hell, I didn't realise I was taking that.
Not for me.
Right.
Actually, that's a funny you should say that, because not in terms of left field, like I haven't picked like Mr. Blobby's greatest hits or anything like that.
Why not?
Well, I mean, pretty good.
Back a couple of tunes on it.
Yeah. This goes all right.
Bangers on that, man.
No, but like every band here, I love every band here. So, but at the same time, maybe if you'd asked me what soul album I was going to bring, I might not have picked this one.
Right. If
I hadn't thought about it more deeply. So, yeah, your question's interesting. So maybe, in that sense, maybe something has come from left field.
Yeah, because that happened to me. Like 2 albums I wouldn't even consider being in my top 100. I was like, I'm taking that because I'm never hearing anything else again.
Wait, what's that one? You picked one that didn't you say you'd only like recently kind of...
Yeah, Jacob Collier. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
I know the name. I haven't listened to it. But I remember you saying, and you said like you'd only kind of recently, and it was a bit like, oh no, this has gotten in me list.
Yeah. Recency bias maybe. Anyway, we're not here for me. We're here for you. Who wants to go first, Danny or Jeff?
Go ahead, Jeffrey. You usually go first with stuff, yeah.
All right. Are we doing albums first?
Yeah, we'll do your first album. There's 6 each.
Right. First album I picked, and this was an easy one, is The Argument by Fugazi.
Oh, Fugazi. What a surprise.
One of my favourite bands of all time, and my favourite album by them. Couldn't not leave them, and obviously I actually love all of their albums, but that, for me, there's no skips. It kind of encompasses everything that was great about that band all into one 40-minute album. Yeah. That's it. That's my first choice.
Well, my first choice. I think if you go into Mars, you're not going to feel the same every day, are you?
Nope.
Well, that's what I had in mind when I picked this.
Yeah.
You're not going to feel the same every day.
I tried to pick a variety. Yeah.
This was actually the first thing that came into my head, which is that's probably a left field notion in itself. This was the first thing, and that's 30 Degrees Everywhere by the Promise Ring.
Excellent choice.
I just one of the most just emotive. Yeah. Beautiful albums ever.
Yeah.
And
Midwest emo classic.
Yeah. It's just absolutely unbelievable for a rainy day, for a sunny day. It's just a brilliant emo album.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So second one I've picked Spirit of Eden by Talk Talk. So a lot of people might know Talk Talk as a like 80s kind of band. They sang that song "It's My Life."
I've never heard you talk about Talk Talk.
This album, there's 2 albums they did at the end of the career. This one and Laughing Stock, the other one, don't sound anything like the kind of 80s stuff. Mark Hollis, the singer and songwriter, wanted to kind of move into this. He was influenced by like free jazz, ambient sounds, and like kind of. It's such a mellow listen, but it can get quite intense. And it's just a beautiful. It's like 6 tracks that just spread out spacey. You can listen to it like with headphones on, your eyes shut, and I can kind of get lost in that. And I return to that album really quite often. Never ever disappoints me. Every time I put it on, I kind of think I like it a little bit more again. So yeah, that it had to be my like kind of. Right, I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to lie back. I'm going to put Spirit of Eden by Talk Talk on. So yeah.
The only hardcore album on this list, Biohazard, Urban Discipline. First, I never want to be without that feeling that I first ever got the first time I heard Evan Seinfeld and Billy Graziadei scream at each other. The first time I ever heard Biohazard was a massive, massive deal for me. Massive deal. And I still know how I felt when I heard them, when I seen the music video to Tales from the Hard Side, which isn't on this album, but that was my first exposure to him. Urban Discipline was the first album I bought. and it was just. I still get that I still get that feeling when I listen to them now, and I never want to be without that feeling ever again. It was like a seed was planted. So that one was a no-brainer for me.
How old were you when you first heard that?
I'm going to say 17.
Right.
17. And I remember where, I've told the story before, I remember where I was, I remember what happened. I'd come home from the Crazy House in Liverpool, right, which is a famous nightclub in Liverpool. And MTV2 used to show really heavy stuff past a certain time back then.
Right, yeah.
And I remember coming home, I used to stick, whenever I'd come home from the Crazy House, they always stick MTV2 on, because it used to be heavier than Kerrang back then at past a certain time. And I remember putting it on.
They used to get Headbangers Ball and stuff.
Yeah. And this video came on, and it was not what I'd seen before. It was like these guys were walking down a dodgy alleyway, and they were singing about racist things, and they weren't racist. They were talking about, you know what I'm saying?
Anti-racist.
They were talking about racist situations and where they grew up, and it was so aggressive, but it was so. And then you'd see them with a big gang behind them, and I was like, "What is this? What is this?" And I'd just not been exposed to anything like that at that point. And that was the Tales from the Hard Side video. And it was almost straight away after that then that I started seeking out other stuff that was similar. So, and that I'll never forget that feeling. I remember that night perfectly. And I just, like I say, that was why it's a no-brainer, because I just think that's one album that I could never be without.
Yeah.
Of hardcore anyway.
Okay, well, I will pick my one and only hardcore album next then as well. And I've gone for Victim in Pain, Agnostic Front, which I could possibly pick one or two others that might out-edge it, but for me, arguably the greatest American hardcore album recorded, full-length album. And obviously that's a loose term because it's about 15 minutes long.
Yeah, I was going to say.
It's just, I just think it's just everything that makes hardcore great. Just relentless speed.
Primitive,
yeah. Exactly. Just that straight from that opening track, and he starts singing, "Why am I going insane?" It's unbelievable. Again, it's an album I heard a very long time ago, but has stayed with me.
Yeah. How many years would you say?
So my introduction to Agnostic Front would have been the song "Gotta Go."
Yeah. One of the Punkaramas.
It was probably on a Punkarama, and then I remember the video being on when they had that P-Rock channel. Do you remember the music channel?
Yeah.
P-Rock? And then I liked it, and I got that album, Something's Gotta Give, on CD, and just bought a couple of their others, and just bought the first one without really knowing it was the classic. And then that kind of changed everything. And then I was in Toronto many years ago, and I was about 19, I think I was, with my family, and someone came up to me. I was just in like a shop that sell t-shirts, and he just came up to me and was like, "You going to the show tonight?" And I was like, "I'm not from here, mate." It's like, "Oh, Agnostic Front are playing, 10 blocks away or whatever." So I ended up going to see them just on my own, like in their thing, and but that for me is a game changer, one of the greatest pieces of hardcore punk ever made.
I'm surprised you went with them. I thought you would have gone Minor Threat.
I picked Fugazi.
Ah, okay.
So I left Minor Threat.
Mr. Discord, you see.
Right.
He doesn't
exactly. But I didn't want to overload with Discord. But Minor Threat, hands down, the greatest hardcore band of all time. I will say that, but no. I couldn't leave that album as well. I just felt like, nah.
Do you agree with that, Danny?
One thing I'll say about Victim in Pain is it champions probably the greatest opening song of any opening hardcore album.
Oh, it's great.
And I think that, I'm not saying that the standard of the album drops after that, but when you're hit with a, 40 seconds kicking the nuts like that, and it's one of them, just the way it starts with the like that, straight away your ears prick up, and I can understand why you picked it. That's what I'll say. I can understand. It's not my favourite, but I can understand why you picked it for sure. My next choice is, with us being in Manchester, I've gone the Chameleons, Strange Times. Now, the Chameleons are a band I've recently got into. When I say recently, I mean the last 2-3 years. It was actually my missus who introduced me to them. And usually when I pick from a list like this, it has to be a band I've loved for years. But I don't think I've ever fell in love with a band as hard so quick as I did with the Chameleons. I could have picked Scripted a Bridge. I could have picked any of their first 3 albums, actually, because I rate all 3. That's how good this band is. All their 80s albums are as good as each other. That's how good this band are. And I think I've just picked this one because of the song Swamp Thing. is just, I think, it's probably the first song I heard by him, and I was like, who is this? Who is this? And it's kind of, I've said this about the Chameleons before, when you think of the riches of bands that come from Manchester, the Smiths, all these bands, New Order, all them, I don't understand why their name isn't next to them in terms of greatness.
Yeah, because that's what that's passed me by. I've never heard of that name before.
Yeah, honestly, if you've not heard the Chameleons, mate, when we leave, stick them on. Stick Scripted Abridged. If you like that type of stuff.
Is it post-punk?
It's post-punk, gothy kind of stuff, and it's honestly, it's so melodic. It's so melodic. Like, obviously, if you think of like Johnny Marr's guitar and that level of melody, it matches that level of melody, the music. Honestly, it's incredible. And when I heard these, I couldn't believe, like, they were playing, like, they're still around, still playing gigs, and they play in like small places. Like, they played in Faye's Jacaranda and stuff, and it's like, how is this band not like, you know what I mean? Like, how are these not like Joy Division level great? They're that good. Do you know what I mean? And I had to pick. We was coming to Manchester as well for this. I was going to pick one. The Smiths to me seem the obvious one, but bit of a curveball, the Chameleons. But that doesn't mean that they're any less good than the Smiths. That's how good I think they are.
Cool. All right. So the next one for me, Funhouse by the Stooges, because again, this was kind of an obvious one. This kind of cures that any raw, angry energy, also that rock and roll fix. I just think it is the greatest piece of rock and roll music ever put to wax.
Yeah.
Without question.
I actually agree.
Iggy Pop is the greatest rock and roll frontman of all time. All three of those original, Stooges records are phenomenal classics, but the pinnacle is Funhouse. I think every song is amazing. It's just amazing. And, even when you see footage or pictures of Iggy and everything, it just, the artwork of the album looks amazing. It sounds just so raw and visceral and brutal. It's rarely been matched even today, I don't think.
I 100% agree with this pick.
I can't sell it enough. And we've both talked about this album a lot, but it's one of the greatest of all time. And I couldn't leave that behind.
That's a wild statement, that. From when was it? 1969, 70, and it hasn't been matched.
I think it's 1970, isn't it?
1970, and it hasn't been matched.
But I agree with him as well. And we don't agree on a lot.
Right. In the visceral kind of raw, the whole rock and roll, like, I don't know, just I don't think it's been matched by anyone else. I don't think anyone else has quite reached that.
It's incredible. It's just incredible. You know what I mean? And even with his James Brown, feel all right.
Yeah,
stuff going on in that. It's just I love it. The Ruts, The Crack, the best 70s punk album. That's all I got to say about it.
Okay.
And I couldn't, but if I could cheat a little bit, they did release a double disc album.
No.
What, you saying I can't use this?
Nah.
There's no cheating involved. If you want to take 6 greatest hits, you can.
There's no cheating, right?
I mean, we'll all judge you, but
I'm judging.
Nah, right. So The Crack would be if you put a gun to my head and I had to pick one. But they did release a double CD album of The Crack and Grin and Bear It together, right? I would pick that if I was allowed, right? Because that's got their best song on it, hasn't it? Staring at the Rude Boys. Yeah. But The Crack is just a masterwork, isn't it, of punk rock? It's just amazing.
I don't necessarily agree that it's the greatest 70s punk album.
Well, that's fine, but it is.
It is great, though.
Yeah.
There's a few that I prefer over it.
Well, you're wrong.
Okay.
But if I could take the Grin and Bear It thing as well, then...
Well, then you're wrong for picking a double album like that.
Yeah, well,
one or the other, lad. One or the other.
The Crack, if I have to pick one or the other. But that, if I can cheat, if the guy leading us onto the spaceship isn't looking,
you got to slip that.
I'm going to slip the Grin and Bear It the double album on him as well.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay. Nice. All right. So I've gone for Enter the Wu-Tang 36 Chambers by the Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
Greatest hip hop album of all time. Unmatched, unquestionable. I will die on that hill and I'll fight anyone who tries to tell me it's not. I love hip hop. Me and Danny both do, but I know we do vary slightly in what areas of hip hop we listen to. This is an album we both 100% agree is great.
This kills me to admit this. I hate that I'm going to have to give him this ego boost. He introduced me to the Wu-Tang Clan when we were about 16. And I was not a hip-hop fan then. Now, I hung around with lads who were, and they were into Snoop Dogg and all that. I hated it. Right. I was never into hip-hop because of when we were in our last few years at school, that was what I was hearing.
Yeah, but it was gangster rap, wasn't it?
I wasn't into that West Coast G-Funk thing. When me and Geoff started hanging out, you didn't even have an official copy of it. You had a copy that someone had made you. Yeah, I remember.
There you go. So that's the name
literally.
Of it.
Yeah. We were like 16, and he played me it, and straight away I was like, oh my god,
it goes harder than any metal or hardcore album out there, pretty much. I think it's best opening song, Bring the Rockers. Shame on Her, Protect Your Neck. Every tune on it is
Cream.
Exactly. Yeah. Every song on it is a class masterpiece. All the MCs at the top of their game.
Oh yeah,
it's unreal. Like I say, unmatched. A couple of the solo albums that came out around it are great as well. But I had to think of a hip hop album, and as many times as I've heard this album, I've never bored of it. I still think it's the greatest piece of hip hop ever recorded.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it annoys me that I have to give him that, but it was Geoff who introduced me to the Wu-Tang Clan, and in that, I suppose, if you have to look at it in that context, he was probably the one then in that case who got me into hip hop, because even though that's probably where our likenesses in hip hop ends, the Wu-Tang Clan, I would not have looked at hip hop probably the same way if I'd not heard that album and he introduced me to it. So in that sense, yeah, that is a brilliant pick as well. My next pick, I've gone for, now this is the one that's slightly out of left field. Now I look, like I said, I went through a pick. I like shaved my head. I was wearing Doc Martens. I got it heavily into soul music and skinhead reggae. It was like my thing for about 5 years. All I was going to see like Toots and the Maytals when they played. I went to see Benny King. I was only going to see like 60s black artists. I went through a period of just going to see. And if you'd asked me what soul album I'd have took, I probably would have straight away. The thing that come into my head would probably be like the Supremes, something like that. The Flirtations, one of the girl groups. But the band I've picked is a lesser known band, and again similar to the Chameleons. I'm not quite sure why these aren't kind of held maybe on the same level as like the Stylistics and the Delphonics, and that's a band called the Dells. Around 1971, I think they released an album called Freedom Means, and it's just unbelievable all the way through it. It's like four guys, and it's not. There's a couple of tunes on there that kind of got onto the Northern Soul dance floors back in the day, but a lot of it's slow as well, and it's the harmonies and the brass in it. It's absolutely incredible. I need to play you because I think you'd love it. Actually,
I might have heard.
Yeah, it's absolutely, honestly, they're absolutely amazing. Now I think they did have a stint on Motown, but I think this album came out on Island or maybe Caroline or one of them labels. But it's an absolutely incredible album, Freedom Means by the Dells.
Nice.
I listened to it again yesterday in work, and I was thinking this list up, and I was thinking, this is it. This is the one I take soul wise. Even the first Spinners album, Detroit Spinners, after they changed the name when they were still called The Spinners, that first album as well, But yeah, Dells, Freedom Means.
So nice. My final one is also a soul album, and kind of went through a similar thing. When I thought I'm going to take a soul album, I was like, right, I'm taking What's Going On, Marvin Gaye.
Yeah.
That's not my pick. I've gone for Otis Blue by Otis Redding. And the reason being that I actually do think What's Going On by Marvin Gaye is one of the greatest albums ever made as well. And it's just a stunning piece of music. But when I'm in the mood for soul, I tend to go for this album more. This is the one I seem to put on. And it was a toss-up between this and a couple of those Isaac Hayes one as well. But I went and again listened to this over the last few days, this album, and I just thought, flawless, every song. His voice just melts me inside, and every time I hear it, I can't really explain it. I don't know what his voice does to me, but it just makes me feel amazing.
When it comes to soul, me and you've got different tastes. Like I think I prefer the more like Philadelphia kind of sound, which is more dancey, and you like the more Southern Stax type of stuff, which is a bit more like Southern. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I definitely prefer. I've got more rhythm than him, I think. Do you know what I mean? I think that's what it is. I like to dance. So is that the end of that section?
That's my 6 albums.
Oh, no.
You've got one more, yeah.
I've picked my one hip-hop album here. Like I say, we hadn't seen each other's list. We didn't know what we picked. I picked a hip-hop album too. The most underrated MC of all time, Big L. Don't know if you ever heard of Big L.
Never heard of
him. Real deal. When they get shot and murdered, they're the real deal. Big L, Lifestylez of the Poor and Dangerous. What he was saying there about Wu-Tang goes harder than any album, I put this next to a challenge. If you were going to put it in a fight with another album for what goes harder, Lifestylez of the Poor and Dangerous, The tune, The Graveyard. Listen to that.
I know it. You played it for
me. Played it to you, haven't I? Yeah, I think I even said to him, listen to it, kind of thing.
You put it on in the car and started bouncing to it.
Honestly, anyone listen to this, if you like Wu-Tang Clan and there's something that's maybe a little less well known, but you like that hard sound, listen to The Graveyard by Big L, and I guarantee you'll want to go around murdering people. Honestly, it's hard as nails. And that whole album, and some of his rhymes, he's the kind of rapper that he says something, and you're like, did I just hear that right? Did he really just say that? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's offensive, but it's like, it's artistically done. Do you know what I mean? Like, some of the things he says, you can't believe he's just said it. Going round and, actually, from what you've told us, I'm not going to say what the lyric is from what you say about you.
No, just say it. I can always bleep it.
Yeah, he says something about, he's put, what does he say? Something about, he's put more bullets in more people. He could, and then he says something about going around New York. He's that evil. He wants to go around New York and give just and all this. Like what he said. Obviously, I'm not saying it in a good way, but he's saying, you know what I mean? Like he's these rhymes he comes out with. You're like, did I really just hear that? Right. Like this is bad stuff. He says, but he says it in such a good way. It's smoking hot. Some of these rhymes, shall we say? Yeah. I
might have to bleep that.
Mate, bleep all that. You know what I mean? But don't make me sound daft. But try and bleep all that. But mate, listen to that album, Poor and Dangerous. Starts off a bit soft. First, I think it's to let you
in.
It's kind of, you know what I mean? The first song, you're like, I remember when I first got that album, the first song, I was like, this is a little bit kind of thingy. But about 2-3 songs in, it takes a turn. Yeah. And it just goes, the rest of the album then, mate, is just like dark. And I'm talking pitch black dark here. Right. Like some of the rhymes are bad, trust me. But yeah, I'd say give that a go once we've gone. The Graveyard, listen to that.
Is that 90s then, or
90s? Yeah, 90s. I think it's around 93.
And he got shot.
East Coast, New York. Yeah, he got shot. Yeah, I believe. But yeah, that and like the Big Pun album and stuff like that. All that stuff's like my kind of thing.
Big Pun album.
Yeah, Big Pun and all that type of stuff.
Cool. Right, brilliant. Some really good picks there. I'll have to dig some of those out. Yeah. Some of them I knew, some of them I didn't. So hopefully other people listening will dig them out as well. So you're now allowed to take 2 DVDs. There's a DVD player up in Mars.
Right.
Conveniently.
Well, I don't mess with DVDs. Blu-ray only. So
okay.
Take a Blu-ray.
Yeah, we'll let you off.
Yeah.
Go on, you go first.
Okay, I'll go first. Now, again, if we're up there on our own, it could be a bit depressing up there. At first, anyway. So I'm not going to take, like, some films I consider pieces of art because they can still be quite depressing. So I've took one of my comfort films. I've took The Burbs, Tom Hanks.
Right.
I don't know if you've ever seen The Burbs.
No.
It's an 80s film about, so he's very young in it, Tom Hanks. It's basically, now it reminds me of my street where I live, to be fair. I live in a road.
It's a bit like
it. It is a bit like The Burbs, isn't it? You literally go in and there's a roundabout and the houses go round the roundabout.
Right,
so you go in and there's only one way in and the houses go round the roundabout and it's a proper curtain twitch your neighbourhood. Everyone's like, what's going on over there? You know, one of them kind of places. And basically The Burbs is about a road like that. All the neighbours know each other. A strange family moves in one of the houses and basically become convinced that they're killing people. So basically the 3 guys who live in this neighbourhood basically are that convinced that this weird family called the Klopeks are killing people, that they decide to spy on them.
That is a murderous name, that, isn't it? Yeah. Klopeks.
And it's honestly, man. Now, Bruce Dern plays the funniest part ever played by anyone is Bruce Dern in The Burbs. He's the older guy of the 3.
He's great.
And he takes it that serious. He starts wearing army gear and all sorts of stuff to spy, gets on his roof with his telescope.
Oh, that's so good.
Honestly, it's an 80s classic, and it's one of my comfort films.
Do you know what scene in that gets me every time? When they're round at the house and they have to eat the sardine.
Oh, yeah.
And Tom Hanks' face when he put the sardine and pretzel or whatever it is.
What happens is, the wives say, right, they're not killers, and we're going to go round and we're going to introduce ourselves, and which we should have done months ago, and they go round, right? And the wives are like convinced that they're not, right? But the husbands are convinced that they are. So they make them go round. And it's like the monsters, do you know what I mean? They go round, they are a weird bunch of bastards, right? And they go in, and the young guy is offering them like we walked in here, you offered us chocolate and a cup of tea, didn't you? Yeah. That's the normal thing to do, right? You know what this guy the offer? Would you like a sardine? That's what they say. Sardine. And sardine. Like, yeah. Now, his wife, Tom Hanks' wife, is looking at him as if to say, "You better eat that," kind of thing. Host and all that. Yeah. So Tom Hanks, he's like that.
It's his face,
and it is. And the state of this flipping great sardine. Honestly, but yeah, the Burbs. It's honestly, it's one of the best films of the 80s. Honestly,
it is great.
Yeah.
Cool. My first choice. Comedy film, my favourite comedy film. I've gone for The Big Lebowski.
Right.
Probably my other comfort film. Yeah.
I can never get bored of it. It's such a quotable movie. I like the Coen brothers in general. Yeah. This for me is their sort of pinnacle. I whenever see their films ranked, it's never number one, and I always think that's number one for me.
What is usually ranked number one?
I feel like they kind of go more down the
Airplane stuff like that.
Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?
Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is good.
It's great as well, and a few of the others. But I think this is their pinnacle.
Fargo is great.
Fargo's up there as well. I still this.
But no, I agree. Big Lebowski is my favorite.
Have you seen Big Lebowski?
Yeah.
The dialogue is so quotable, and that's a kind of big thing for me with films. Often is I like good dialogue, good interaction with the characters. Because that can be as entertaining to me as, some of the visuals on the screen or whatever. Every time I watch that film, it's got a great soundtrack. Yeah. The opening where you see him buying milk with a check, it cracks me up every time. Yeah.
And I think everyone wishes that they could be as laid back.
I also want to be the dude. Like,
you know what I mean? Like, imagine having a life where you could be that laid back.
It's just when there's loads of bits in it when he's in the back of the taxi and he puts the Eagles on and he's like, "Not the Eagles, man!" It's amazing. But yeah, that'd be my first choice because I could literally watch that film once a week. I think I'd never get bored of
it. So I'm gonna get serious.
Well, let's do it.
Right, I'm gonna get serious. So while we're on Mars, we can't always be partying and we can't always be messing around. We've got to get our heads on. I've gone The French Connection as my second choice. Okay. William Friedkin is the best director of all time. I know everyone now listens to this going, "No, he's not," and all that. But you know what? He made two of the best movies of the 70s, and I'm not even including The Exorcist in that, which I think is overrated. The French Connection and Sorcerer, and it was a choice between either of those two movies. I've gone The French Connection, no. I mean, it's the perfect cop film. You've got a car chase, you've got stakeouts, you've got amazing acting by two of the best actors of the 70s in Gene Hackman and Roy Scheider, right? You've got a brilliantly written script. I believe it was written by a real-life criminal or something. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Sonny Grasso, I think, wrote that, or had something to do with it anyway. It's probably, if someone put a gun to my head and said, "Danny, your best film of all time," and if the answer's wrong, we're going to blow your head off, I probably would say The French Connection.
Fair enough.
So that's, my next choice.
Cool. My other choice is True Romance.
Oh, what?
Great film with great dialogue. Again, I love it. Again, it's a film I've watched many times, and I don't know, it just makes me feel, I enjoy it. It's...
Don't be asking me to come round to your little pod for a
I don't always like happy endings, but it's got a nice happy ending to it, even though it's a brutal film. Tarantino, had a hand in writing it, sold it to fund Reservoir Dogs, basically, I believe. It's got that a little bit of that Tarantino edge, little bits of comedy, great cast of actors, great dialogue. Dennis Hopper and Christopher Walken.
That scene is unbelievably good. I'll give you that.
So good. Yeah. There's so many good scenes and so many good actors in that. Gary Oldman's character is great in it. Drexel. Brad Pitt as Floyd the Stoner is great. I love it. Endlessly could watch that film, I think, and not get bored of it.
You know what the two best bits are in that film? One is obviously the Dennis Hopper, Christopher Walken confrontation around the table. But also, the bit that makes me laugh the most is, the bit where Chris Penn and, who's the other cop in it? It's Chris Penn. Is it Tom Sizemore?
Yeah.
It's Tom Sizemore in it. You know where they're listening in the and Christian Slater's got Fingy in the elevator, and he's got a gun to him,
and he's like asking for what?
He's like, what's his name in it? Christian Slater's name? Travis, is it?
Clarence.
he says, "This Clarence kid's crazy. I like him." They're the two best bits in the film.
I mean, I would disagree with that second one. It's been one of the best bits in the film.
That film's overrated. I think.
You're not a fan, though.
Not really. No. I can watch it and enjoy it, but people put that on a level I don't think it deserves to be myself. But there you go.
Right, luxury item then, Danny.
Luxury item, right? Do you use an electric toothbrush?
No.
Mate, get an electric toothbrush and it will revitalise your toothbrush experience.
Is this an ad read?
Mate, I'm not...
Are we doing endorsements?
Mate, I've not been paid by no one to say this, right? I switched to an electric toothbrush about 5 years ago and it changed my life. I'm not messing.
No, they're not great life.
Yeah, do you use one?
Yeah.
Oh, honestly... Electric toothbrush. You use an electric toothbrush. Your teeth yanking days out are over. Honestly, you can get everywhere. You can get inside. You can get the back. You can get everywhere. I ain't going nowhere without my electric toothbrush. Very easy answer that.
You could have had anything.
Nah, electric toothbrush.
Right,
mate. If I'm eating sweets and that in Mars, I need that electric toothbrush. And look, you've given us chocolate today. So there you go.
Yeah, we're sorted.
Okay. Luxury item for me. It's pretty obvious one, I suppose. I picked a guitar. I play guitar. If I didn't have one with me forever again, I think I'd be very upset.
I have not seen you play your guitar in about 25 years.
Yeah, because we're not in a band together.
Yeah, so why do you need a guitar then?
Because sometimes,
come by
all those hours when we're not hanging out, sometimes I play my guitar.
I don't think Danielle would have that.
I don't care. It's not her choice.
She's not going.
I know, yeah. We were invited her. That's my luxury item. Play, I could say, if I didn't have it, I would miss that a lot. I'm assuming I've already got a record player to play all those albums.
Yeah, you can say, there is one up there waiting for you.
I mean, you can't criticise me taking a guitar when you picked an electric toothbrush.
Mate, electric toothbrush is essential pieces.
Again, I feel like my toiletries would just be coming with me as part of the trip anyway. So
they might give like you one of them shitty, just normal toothbrushes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we don't give out electric toothbrushes.
Yeah, exactly.
So your teeth aren't going to be great, but at least you're going to take your guitar. I took my trumpet anyway when I did mine.
Trumpet?
Yeah, I play trumpet.
Cornet,
play cornet, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Where are we now? Fly a band over for an inaugural gig, Geoff.
I've gone for the Misfits.
Are they still going?
Yeah. They are back with the original Danzig, Jerry Only, and Doyle on guitar, and Dave Lombardo of Slayer plays drums for them now.
Right.
I've never seen them. One of my favourite punk hardcore bands ever. So I feel like the gig would be great. I could have a good dance, mosh to them, sing along, and I'd like to request that they open with the song Teenagers from Mars because it would be extremely appropriate. That's why I picked them.
Can we pick any band from any time?
I'd say just current, but I'll let you have two. As it's the first episode, you can have two. You can have one that doesn't exist.
Okay. Well, then I pick Fugazi as well.
Okay.
Right, okay. All right, yeah, okay. So my original choice was going to be the Specials 1979 version of the Specials, right? Yeah. Now, I have seen the Specials since before Terry Hall died. Can I have that? Yeah?
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah. Well, that'll be my choice. But if I have to have a band that is still going, but they're not... It definitely wouldn't be a hardcore band, I don't think, because I'd want to, like I say, I'd want someone. The reason I picked the Specials is to get the party going. You know what I mean? To get the party going. But you know who else I'd pick as well? And this is definitely you're not gonna expect this. Earth, Wind and Fire.
That doesn't surprise me that much.
Oh, I'd love to go to an Earth. Imagine that, an Earth, Wind and Fire concert. It'd be amazing, that, wouldn't it?
But my thinking why I picked Misfits was that I thought if I'm going up there and this is an inaugural gig. Are we ever going to have any other punk or hardcore bands again? Am I ever going to get to go to a punk show again? Yeah. This might be my last hoorah at having a mosh and a dance. So that was my reasons for that one.
Yeah,
Earth, Wind and Fire be coming to that show.
Yeah.
Are they still going? Earth, Wind and Fire?
Are they? Yeah. Wow. They did. I don't know how many of the original members
still an active band.
Because I know Chic is still going and I know Nile Rodgers is in Chic still.
Yeah.
But Earth, Wind and Fire, I have seen footage of them. And I'll be honest, a few of the guys do look suspiciously young, like my age kind of thing. But yeah,
I think Earth, Wind and Fire are one of those bands that even if it's got no original members, you can keep that going.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was what it was in my. I don't want to be angry when I'm in Mars on my own.
Yeah,
it'd frustrate me. I'd be too uptight. So I need to feel good. So that's what I've thought about that answer. I've thought about it.
Nice choice.
Yeah,
good stuff. Right, one food to clone for every meal.
Oh, meal?
Yeah.
He never specified meal, did he? Did he?
Yeah.
I thought it was just a food. I'm going to have to change what I've said then.
I mean, you could have that for a meal. It wouldn't be a very
sweet. You mentioned sweets before.
Yeah, well, funnily enough, it is sweets.
Just sweets.
Biscuit and raisin Yorkies was my original.
Right.
Mate, honestly.
The grossest.
No, what? Right, honestly, there's never been a chocolate bar made like the biscuit and raisin Yorkie.
You requested no raisins when you came?
I despise raisins.
Right.
And I didn't want to be like, oh, Johnny likes them and I don't.
So I don't like raisins.
Blanket, no raisins, please.
No, I don't like. I mean, if they were like, what were they called? Noblets or whatever. What a little packet of chocolates called, like chocolates?
Hobnobs. No.
They were like come in a little purple packet.
The chocolate raisin ones.
Yeah, but they had a brand name.
I haven't got a clue.
But no, honestly, biscuit and I eat 2 biscuit and raisin Yorkies a day. That's how, for my lunch every day. I love them. I absolutely love them. I like the original Yorkie, but the biscuit and raisin is another level. But if we're talking about food, flipping heck.
Have a think. We'll go to Geoff.
Go on then.
I've picked a vegetarian Madras curry.
Oh,
because I love curry.
Curry was
probably one of my favourite. Yeah, I did think so. My partner, she's an amazing cook as well, and I thought about a couple of things that she cooks. But I thought, nah, I'm not gonna. Not because it's not nice. I love it, but I think a curry is kind of like a pinnacle. Like if I want to take out, I always seem to want a curry. Yeah, so yeah.
I'm gonna pick a curry too, and I'm gonna go with chicken Rogan Josh. That's what I'm going to go for. Amazing. With the tomato and everything.
Nice. Do you want a spicy meal for every meal, though?
Yeah.
Rogan Josh is on spicy.
Yeah, true. Yeah. Madras is quite...
Madras is
I'm a bit of a wimp when it comes to curries. Like, I can't... when it comes to anything hot, I can't handle it. I'm sensitive around this area.
That's why you've got the electric toothbrush.
Oh, yeah. There you go, yeah.
Right, pick a president for Mars.
I've gone... This was the hard one, but... I think me and Carl Pilkington have got a similar outlook on life, so I'd probably go Carl Pilkington.
That's a great choice.
Yeah. I said that was a good choice.
That was a good choice.
I've picked Ian Mackay because, obviously, I'm a fanboy, obviously, in Discord and all that. But
so what are you going to do when he bans drinking and smoking and all that?
I mean, I don't drink that much anyway, so I'm sure I'll be all right. But...
I don't think he would.
I don't think he would. He's free. He made an album with Al Fingy. He made the Palehead album, and while he was sniffing off the toilet to sniff heroin and stuff.
But if he's the man,
it's more.
If he's the man, he's in charge of everything,
and the power might go to his head as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure, it would have gone to his head by now.
That's
the
true.
Power, and he wields over the hardcore scene.
That is true.
You know what I mean? I just feel like his ethos, his outlook on life, the way he runs his business. Yeah, I think he wouldn't want the job. However, I think he'd be great at it.
I reckon if I thought hard enough about that, I could find some holes in that.
So I think that's the same for any argument. You've picked Carl Pilkington. You don't think there's some holes in that? Jesus, mate. It's like, come on.
Well, yeah, obviously.
So, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but mine's a bit of a joke choice. I reckon you're serious about Ian Mackay.
It's semi-serious. It's not like I actually think he should be president.
Oh, that was a good one.
That was a good one. One person to conveniently and accidentally leave behind on Earth.
Sam Smith.
That's not a bad choice.
Yeah, I can't stand him. I can't stand him.
Elon Musk. For not that I am pro any of his recent outbursts. It's more for the fact that I've never really liked this man. And he's always been like, occupy Mars, we're going to colonize Mars, we're going to do this. I just think it'd be absolutely hilarious to look out the rocket while I'm flying up and just seeing him left behind and give him a little wave. I'd quite enjoy that.
The irony.
Well, you could. That's a hard question because there's so many you could leave.
Yeah, I could pick. I did want to pick Coldplay, but I thought that's 4 people. So.
Yeah, but there may as well be one person. They're so boring, aren't they?
Boring and plain. Yeah, you're right.
All right, last one then. Hang on, you've not left anyone, have you?
Yeah, he said Sam Smith.
Yeah.
We haven't done books, have we?
Right.
Books, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we've not done books. Yeah, 2 books each.
So the first one, if I'm in Mars, I want to be reminded of home. I know I'm a homely guy. So I've picked The Welsh 3000s by my good friend Brian Sale. So my mate Brian Sale, my good friend, recently done a book exploring the Welsh 3000s mountains in Snowdon.
Amazing.
He's recently published it. I would take that because it reminded me of home for a number of reasons. I think that's a a very logical choice. A lot of the books I read are like books on films and stuff like that. Once you've read them once, you don't care again. You've got the information. But a book I've picked, and this is a bit serious for me probably, I've picked a book called Excursion to Hell by a guy called Vincent Bramley, who was in the Paras, and it's about his experience in the Falklands War, and it's really gripping. And I'd heard some stories about the Falklands War as one of my dad's friends was in the Falklands War, and the battle he was involved in, the Battle of Mount Longdon, is also what this book is centered around. So as I was reading it, I found this book particularly gripping for personal reasons, and I've read it. It's probably the only book I've read more than once. So yeah, I'd go with that again.
Cool. I've picked American Hardcore by Stephen Blush because I think it's a great document of American hardcore in the 80s, which is one of my, if not my favorite time period for most genres of music, but definitely for punk and hardcore. And it's a great book, loads of information about loads of the bands. And the other book I've picked, which is a bit cliche, but it's one of the novels that I've probably read the most and I could still read, is 1984, George Orwell. And maybe it'll serve as a little bit of a warning guide for the new civilization as well. That was better.
Yeah, good choices, right? Establish a law or an ethos for Mars.
Go on.
Yeah. I would put a ban and an end. This is obviously once everyone's come to Mars, yeah?
Yeah.
I'd put a ban and an end to the making of superhero movies. I can't stand them.
Great shout.
There's too many of them. Yeah. It's just absolutely processed cinematic rubbish. I hate it. So yeah, that'll be my law.
There you go. So I and ahs between two. One's a bit more. No, I'm going to go with it. Screw it. No one can hoard resources. Everyone has access to what they need. That's it. Simple as that.
Makes a lot of sense.
It's a very noble one, that, Geoff, isn't it?
Yeah.
If we're going to start again, let's start right.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. I think that's pretty much it. So you get 30 seconds now to say goodbye to every album that you really wanted to take but didn't get the chance to. So maybe do one at a time as fast as you can.
Okay.
Oh, 30 seconds.
You got to say the whole album.
All right.
With the artist.
Goodbye, Miles Davis.
Time, yeah. Okay, you ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Goodbye, Miles Davis, Kind of Blue.
Goodbye, Knuckle Dust Town and Healers.
Goodbye, Bad Brains, self-titled.
Goodbye, Black Flag, Damaged.
Goodbye. God, Marvin Gaye, what's going on?
Goodbye. Oh my God. Goodbye. Braid, Frame and Canvas.
Goodbye, Rites of Spring.
Goodbye, entire Fiddlehead discography.
Last one.
That's it. Goodbye. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's it. Thank you very much for coming down to Manchester. Yeah, really enjoyed that.
I really enjoyed it.
It's been a good time.
Excellent. What are you doing now?
Going to do some record shopping and thing. We're going to document it for an episode
for
as well.
This weekend's episode.
Good idea.
Yeah. We'll probably name drop this at some point as well.
Once it's up, we'll get it on there.
Nice one. Excellent. Cheers, lads.
Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah.
That was a blast.
That's a wrap.
Actually really fun. I want to do more stuff like this.
Yeah.
We'll come back on again.
I'll have you back in 5 years. Yeah.